Hey everyone, my name is Barry Rager. I run this YouTube channel called Rage Fishing. Now, my focus is on fishing throughout the state of Oregon, all types of species, but there's nothing I would rather do than fish for winter steelhead. Now, in December of 2021, I released a series of videos that included some gear and tip videos. I'll put a link above if you want to go back. I called it the Steelhead December series, but one of the things I covered in my steelhead gear kit was the wading boots I used. And if you watch that, you know that I'm a holdout, or was a holdout, for Cabela's ultralight wading boots. For one, they're cheap. Two, they're felt bottoms with pre-existing holes for studs. Ever since I started using studs, I just would not go with a wading boot in Oregon, especially for winter fishing without studs. The traction's just incredible. So anyway, I started to notice after a couple trips this year that my wading boots were starting to break down a little bit. Now, my Cabela's ultralight wading boots are only a couple years old. I think I'm on my third season now with them. And to see them starting to break down is kind of frustrating. Now, after doing a bunch of research on my own, both on YouTube, on manufacturers' websites, and on fishing forums, I landed on KORKER'S. Now, these are the DARKHORSE, and they're kind of their mid-range boot. They have some that are close to $300, and they have some that are just over $100. But the DARKHORSE run about $200. They're about the same price as the Devil's Canyon. So Elevated Fishing did a good review on the Devil's Canyon on their YouTube page, and they're a tad lighter than the DARKHORSE. I believe they weigh 3 pounds, 2 ounces per pair, whereas the DARKHORSE is 3 pounds, 4 ounces. So essentially each one of these boots weighs about an ounce more. That wasn't a real big deal to me, and I liked a few of the features of this boot a little bit better, and I'll go over those in a minute. So KORKER'S claim to fame, and I used to actually think it was a little gimmicky, but they have interchangeable soles. Like this pair I bought has the felt soles, and it has a pair of the rubber soles that come with it. Now, like I had mentioned, I won't use felt without studs, and so I ended up ordering a pair. They're actually called the Omnitrax. They're interchangeable sole system, but these are felt with the built-in studs. $50 for the extra soles, so it's kind of spendy, and these were $190 is what I paid for these. So you're looking at $240 for a pair of DARKHORSE with 3 different interchangeable soles essentially. But I'm going to be running the studs the majority of the time, unless I actually take like my drift boat, and then I will switch out and use the rubber soles. And really I could probably even get away with using just a felt sole in my drift boat. Yeah, you're going to track a little bit more into your boat, but that way at least when I get out of the boat I have a little bit more traction than I would with just straight rubber. The thing that sold me probably the most on the DARKHORSE, and it's the same with the Devil's Canyon boot, is the BOA system for lacing. Now, if you have laces on wading boots, you know how they can be kind of a pain. When they're wet, they get down into the dirt. They can snag up on things. Like recently I was on a fishing trip and I was walking along the bank, and the stick I didn't see went right into my shoelace, which apparently was a little bit loose anyway, but I ended up tripping and falling down. Not that that couldn't happen with the wire system, but I just think you're less likely, once these are tight, to get those hung up on anything. The other thing that's kind of cool is it has a little bit of a tab right here that you can hook your gravel guards to. I've already tried these on with my Simms tributary waders, and it works fine. So let me show you how the BOA system works. Now you can see right here there's a little dial, and if you pull that out, you can just pull that tongue straight out and it loosens those wires. Now when you put the boot on, you push that in and you just dial this. You dial it until it's snug on your foot, put your gravel guards over, and you're good to go. I've heard some people say that it loosens up. It could just be that your boot, or like your neoprene booty, just kind of loosens up in there a little bit. So it's just a matter of cranking that down a little bit more. So now let's go over how to change the actual soles. So on the back here, there's a little bit of a tab. You go ahead and you pull up on that, and you can see that comes off like this, and it's just a matter of pulling that off. The front of these have like kind of like a little bit of a serrated, I guess you'd call that is supposed to go into the toe area of the bottom of the boot. But let's go ahead, since I'm going to be using the felt with studs, and I'm actually going fishing immediately after I'm done filming this video. This is kind of the first impressions, but I'm going to film a little bit on the river, and I'll kind of tell you guys what I think at the end of the day. So you can see those serrations on the end of the toe portion of that tab. So you just put that up inside that toe area. You line up those tabs, and technically you could just step on them and they'll go into place. But since I'm sitting here at my desk, I'll just push them into place by hand, and then just make sure to pull this over like so. So now those are in place. That's how quick you can change those out. One more thing I wanted to point out is the sizing. There's actually a size chart on KORKER'S website that you should really look at and go by. I should say I'm 11.5 shoe size, and so I ended up with the 12s because that's what the KORKER'S sizing chart said to do. I tried on some 13s at Cabela's in town here, and they were just way too big. I felt like I was swimming in them. These feel a little bit more snug, but they're not uncomfortable. So according to their size chart, 11.5, you should go with the size 12, and it seems to work pretty good for me so far. So real quick, let's go over the specs. Again, these are 3 pounds 4 ounces per pair for the DARKHORSE, and I don't know what size that's based on. Obviously, the bigger it is, the more it's going to weigh, but that's only 2 ounces more than the Devil's Canyon. They have what's called an internal drainage system, and I think that's a cool feature. They actually have holes in the insole that line up with some of these holes that are along the side, and supposedly that's supposed to assist with water draining out of the boot while you're, pulling your foot up out of the river, let's say. All the material is lightweight and it's designed to dry really fast. One of the reasons that I like the DARKHORSE over the Devil's Canyon a little bit more is it just seemed like there was just a little bit more protection along the sides. That's probably why they're just a little bit heavier. The Devil's Canyon is supposed to be more of like a hiking boot, and this is supposed to add just a little bit more stability in the upper. So I'm going to go load my truck up and head over to the river. It's a little bit cold today. It's below freezing. Steelhead are lethargic when the water's that cold, so I figured I might as well record this portion of the video before I head over. Once we get there, I'll show you how the BOA system works and how it works with my gravel guards. So I made it over to the river, and as I told y'all, it is cold. Get my waders on. Again, these are Simms tributary waders. Pretty good waders for 200 bucks. I used to just get Cabela's brand waders, but they only lasted a few seasons too. So I finally stepped up to Simms, and I'll probably just keep getting a little bit higher quality wader as I go. I think the next ones up are the Freestones, which are about 300 bucks. So as I already said, I've already put my felt with studs on. It's the first time that I'm going to be wearing these, so they're a little tight. For the next one, I'll get the camera just a little bit closer. But it works out pretty slick. Again, snap in, and then just twist. Got my gravel guards kind of up out of the way here. I thought that this would be kind of bulky for the gravel guards, but it's actually pretty small. So it goes over pretty easy. And this little tab right here what's going on. Alright, there we go. Just got to figure it out. So that actually fits on there pretty nice. So there you have it. Now let's go try them out. This is the ultimate test of the wading boots. Last year, right in this spot, I fell down. I'll show you a little clip of what that looks like. Not to say that my boots were to blame, but it's just really slick. It's bedrock right here. And later in the year, it gets a bunch of moss on it. Yeah, the boot fit is perfect. Like, there's just enough space in there that my toes aren't jammed up against the end, but it's not sloppy. And look at that, I made it. Almost. What's crazy is, like my other boots, I don't feel the water running through them. When you're wet, they're just wet. But these, I can actually feel the water being pushed out. It's kind of weird. So far I'm really digging these boots. They don't slide around. And what's crazy is I can actually feel the water moving through the bottoms of them, like through the insoles. It's cool. It displaces that water like it said it should. Right in front of me. That's a big fish. Made it. Fish. See if we can get it right here. Come on, man. Come here. It's got that nightmare jig right in the corner. Okay, it's free. Okay. Come here. Come here. I'm just gonna let this net go. Look at this fish. Look at that. Beautiful. Whenever you're ready, kid. There you go. There you go. There she goes. Nice. So I've had these boots on for about 6 hours now, and I gotta say they're pretty comfortable. The sizing is absolutely perfect. Again, I'm 11.5-foot shoe, and I went with the 12s. That's what the sizing chart said to do. So I would just recommend looking at the sizing chart and go with what they say. But we'll see how they hold up. My last pair of wading boots only lasted about 3 years, so we'll see. So I hope they last longer than that because they're more than twice the price of my other wading boots. So I figured I'd just really quickly show changing out of the boots at the end of the day, just so you could kind of see how that works. So again, pop this out, and that just pulls that right out. So there you have it. Overall, I'm pretty impressed by these boots. So if this video was helpful, consider subscribing, turn on the bell so you don't miss future videos. If I earned it, hit the thumbs up button. That helps me out on YouTube. Other than that, I'm gonna pack up and get headed home. Thanks for watching.